What is happening, everybody? So I got a couple of things a couple of upgrades that I'm going to be doing to the Cherokee, which is um, one thing that I got to do is out of necessity. The other two are for just to clean up some areas on my electrical around the battery that I don't really like. So I'm going to clean that up, and I'll explain it to you in a couple of minutes. But the two areas that I want to clean up, one is right here, this nest of wires, like right here, all these little small wires right here going to the positive terminal. There's not that many on the positive, on the negative. I mean, there's a couple down right over here. I got one ground over here, and I got another hot over here. I want to clean this whole area up, like right here. I don't like that at all. I mean, most of these wires are my lights, the light bar, a couple of these are my ham radio, power, from inside, a two-way ham radio. What else is on here? I think I got two sets of the P is on here, but I want to clean all this up and maybe put like a fuse block somewhere on the firewall, like over here somewhere, and run two gauge wires, one off the positive, one off the negative. Run the wires like all right over here and to the fuse block, and just put all the accessories from here onto the fuse block over here. That's one idea that I have, and I got to clean this whole nest up over here. It's just personal preference that I don't like. Personal preference and necessity of cleaning this up. I just don't like this whole clump of wires right there. It's not, it doesn't look too good. And it's functional. I mean, it's probably not going to run me a problem at all. But I just don't like it. Another area that I am having problems with here in the Northeast. Here in the Northeast, we got some rust problems on our Jeeps. And, due to the road salt, the excessive road salt that is laid down in the winter, and the fact that I've been driving my Cherokee for 13 years, I'm sorry, 14 years actually, it's 14 years this year, every day in the winter. For 14 years I've driven this truck every day, all year round. It's just recently where I've retired this during the summer use, because I have my Harley that I ride in the summer. But in the winter time, this thing just takes a beating with the road salt and stuff. And one area that I got a problem with is my passenger floor pan, which is right here. It doesn't exist. It's completely rotted away. As you can see, it starts like rotting right here, and the whole thing is just completely not there. But one area that I got to take care of, which is right here, this seam in the subframe is coming apart, and it's separating right here. There's a big gap right here, and it's just coming apart up on top right here. And I don't know if it's due to my control arm mounts, because I got a Clayton long arm set up in this truck with the rear coil conversion, and it's got a kind of a subframe right here that comes down off the frame. Okay, and I don't know if my control arms are kind of pushing it on the frame and causing that seam to come apart. I don't know what is causing this. I think it's partially due to the control arms are pushing on the subframe, and my lack of floor pan, because the floor pan adds structural strength to your subframe also. So without my floor pan in that mix, it kind of weakens the subframe, and I think that's why I'm getting this seam that's splitting apart over here. But I just ordered JCR's midsection frame stiffener for this truck, which is going to help tremendously. So the subframe, the plating the midsection plating goes from the front section, so right about over here from the front section all the way to the spring, the solid spring mount to the rear. Right about over here it stops, which that's the area they really want to strengthen the most, is that midsection. So that's one problem area right there, which I'm not too happy about, but bear with me for a second. My other problem area is right here. I hope I can get a shot of this section of the frame right here. And I got a giant size hole going on from the front part over here to the back section right over here. It's a giant hole that's happening, and it's weakening the subframe. You can see it's all kind of buckling. It's buckling a little bit right here on the bottom. I'm getting some rot over there. And like I said, I don't know if my rear subframe takes a beating because of my coil bucket is here. So that subframe is, it's a lot more stress on this subframe in the back than normal, with a normal leaf spring setup. So I got on order, I ordered Iron Rock Off-Road's frame stiffener for the rear, which goes from about right here on the subframe up and all over here, and it goes to the back section of the subframe. Back section of the subframe, like all the way down here, all the way up over here. So at least that stiffener will tighten this up a lot and add a lot more strength to my coil bucket in the rear section. So those are the two things that I got going on right now with the Cherokee. And I got a new battery tray. I'm getting a new battery tray from JCR Off-Road, which will be good. Which will be good to have a nice battery tray in here once. I don't like the hold down that I have. My hold down is on the bottom, and I just don't like it at all. I don't think it holds the battery as well as the strap on top, and that little piece that usually sits right here, which I have right here. This is that piece. This is the piece that sits here, right on the subframe, on the radiator support. I'm gonna add this thing back in there too, because I think Jeep was pretty smart about doing this. Because when you have that in there with the battery tray, when it's tied in from here to the battery tray, this battery tray is, you can winch off that battery tray. It's so strong. So the JCR battery tray, I'm going to put that little tie-in piece from the radiator support to the battery tray, hold down. I'm going to put that in, so it's a nice upgrade. And I want to get rid of this this interstate battery. It's a wet cell battery, which I don't like. I don't like the battery at all, but it's working good in my Jeep so far. I'm not sure how many cold cranking amps. I think it's there's 700 right there. I don't know if you can see that. Come on, focus. No. It's 700. It says right here 700 cold cranking amps and 120 minutes of reserve. But it's a decent battery. It's just a wet cell battery, which I don't like at all. I just don't like wet cell batteries. But anyway, I'm kind of getting this truck ready because next year in July, I'm planning on doing a big giant road trip. And you might want to stay tuned to my YouTube channel here for that, because I plan on documenting the whole trip from A to Z. I'm pretty much going to take Route 80 West all the way to Moab, Utah. And I'm going to stay in Moab, Utah for a while, do a little wheeling, obviously. So I'm going to do a little wheeling in Moab, probably stay there for 3 or 4 days. And then I want to go down to Hurricane, Utah, which is the southwestern part of Utah. And north of Hurricane is Zion National Park. And there's also a lot of beautiful things to see and awesome sights, beautiful, awesome sights. And there's quite a bit of wheeling down there too. And so from there, I want to go back up to 80 West and head over to Truckee, California, and Georgetown, California, which is the home of the Rubicon Trail. And I want to run this thing through the Rubicon. I want to do the Rubicon Trail with that truck. hopefully my all-terrains will be up to the task of running the Rubicon, which I think they're a little, I don't think they'll work as good as a mud terrain on the Rubicon, like with like rocky trails like that, like the Rubicon. It's pretty nasty, the Rubicon. Don't, you know, I'm not selling it short at all, but I think my all-terrains and I think my suspension will do pretty good on it, relatively speaking. So from the Rubicon Trail in Northern California, the Sierra Trek Trail is another Sierra Nevada mountain range trail in Northern California that's a world famous trail. Not so much a world famous, but it's one of the top 5 best off-roading in California, or in the United States for that matter too. But I want to see if I can do, from the Rubicon Trail, I want to see if I can do the Sierra Trek, which is, like, again, like I said, right next to the Rubicon Trail. So I want to see if I can do that. And then I'll just kind of work my way south in California, zigzagging around. As I head south, I'm going to zigzag around and see, you know, things I want to see and do things I want to do. And when I get to Southern California, I want to do 2 trails that I want to do. Is the San Bernardino National Forest. I think there's a couple of trails that I really want to get and do. I really want to get to and do is one is I think it's Dishpan Springs, and I'm not sure the name of the other one. There's another one in the San Bernardino National Forest trails that I want to do. One is Dishpan Springs. The other one I can't remember the name of it, but San Bernardino National Forest is another one I want to do, and I want to head down to the Hammers in Johnson Valley. No, I am not going to do Sledgehammer, Jackhammer, Sunbonnet, Aftershock. I'm not doing any of them hardcore trails because my all-terrains are not up for that task at all. What I do want to do, there's some lesser trails. I think the Blueberry Trail, if I'm not mistaken, there's a couple of really lesser trails in Johnson Valley that I think my all-terrains will be up to the task. The truck itself, it will handle hammer trails. I'm very confident about that. I'm an experienced veteran driver, and my truck is set up very well for hardcore trails. But my tires are not up to the task, so I'm gonna kind of veer away from the hardcore extreme trails on Johnson Valley, and I'm just gonna stick to the lesser ones. And then I'm gonna start heading east on Highway 10 east through Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, Louisiana. 10 east goes from California all the way to Florida. And when I get to Florida, I'm going to start heading north on 95 and then back home. So that's my big giant road trip that I plan on doing next July. It's going to be a 6-week long road trip from the last 2 weeks of June to the whole month, the 4 weeks of July. All them 6 weeks I'm going to be on the road, just driving around endlessly. But I plan on saving some money and sleeping in the Cherokee, which I think is a little tight. I'm 6 foot, so it'll be a little tight, me sleeping in the back on kind of towards the passenger side, but I have room, and I don't mind kind of crunching up a little bit, but I'll be saving a lot of money as opposed to, like, you know, sleeping in the truck, as opposed to getting like a hotel or a campsite every night, because that would really add up a lot. I'll be saving $1,500 by sleeping in the truck as opposed to campsites and hotels every night. Hotels in July out west are like $200 to $250 a night, you know, for a decent hotel. Campsites can run about $48 to $30 a night too. So save a whole bunch of money just sleeping in the Cherokee, you know. But I will sleep in campsites. I will stay in campsites, KOA campsites, you know, and other campsites around California. But anyway, that's my big road trip I have planned for my Cherokee next July. The biggest obstacle I'm running into doing that whole road trip is saving the money that I need to save to do the road trip in this truck. And it's looking like I'm going to be able to save the money. I just need an X amount of money by June of next year to do that road trip, because I feel like I can do this whole road trip with about $6,000. I feel like I can do the whole road trip in this truck. Fuel cost being my biggest expense is fuel. and I'm assuming I'll go through about $2,500, $2,500 to $2,800 in fuel in that truck through the whole entire trip, which I think is pretty realistic. It's probably a pretty high number, but it's pretty realistic. But anyway, it should be fun though. It should be really fun. I'm really looking forward to wheeling Moab and the Rubicon Trail. I'm really looking forward to that. I mean, I've been waiting for that for 30 years now. I've been into off-roading and four-wheeling for 34 years now. This year is my 34th year that I've been into off-roading, and a ton of wheeling under my belt too. My God, that's so much fun. Met so many cool people, been to so many cool places, and but I'm looking forward to wheeling Moab and the Rubicon Trail, and getting down to the the Hammer trails down in Southern California and Johnson Valley. Looking forward to getting to them too. That should be fun. But anyway, I think the Cherokee is more than up to the task. With my Clayton suspension, I got a Detroit locker. The stock axles, the axle housings are stock. They're 8 1/4 in the back and the Dana 30 in the front. But I got chrome moly shafts with tough U-joints. They're alloy U-joints in the front. 29 spline chrome moly shafts in the front with an air locker, and the rear has 29 spline chrome moly shafts with a Detroit locker and 456 gears front and back. And the transfer case has a Terralo 4-to-1 transfer case setup, and I have a 2-low mod from Terralo in the transfer case also. And then the Clayton suspension with the rear coil conversion. The rear link setup is a double triangulated setup, so the flex in the rear is it's ginormous. It really is. It's a huge amount of flex in the rear. The front too. The flex in the front is extreme. So I think the suspension is totally up to doing any of these trails. I got the low gearing. I got the suspension to do it. I got 35-inch tires. Everything else is more than up to the task in the Cherokee. So I just got to kind of do little things like my frame plating and, you know, the battery hold down, you know, just kind of stuff like that. It's just maintenance more than anything. Cleaning some wires up by the battery. You know, and then when I leave before the trip, I'll do a nice fresh oil change with my Mobil 1 synthetic high mileage that I use. And then I'll do a cooling system flush before I leave. You know, but that's it. It's something to look forward to. I know it's really far away, but trips like this really take a long time to plan. They really do. Just your routing that you want to take, the roads, you know, you're routing with the roads that you want to take, how long you're going to stay in each spot. You know, it really is a task. This is my second road trip like this, and my first one, it was like a year in advance to plan for the thing. And this one's even more. Planning for this trip's even more because I'm taking a Cherokee on this trip, so, you know, it's going to be insane. The amount of planning behind it's going to be insane. But anyway, I don't want to bore you guys. I just want to kind of fill you in and get your, get you kind of something to look forward to, you know, in upcoming, you know, months and, you know, next year on the channel, on my YouTube channel. Look for that road trip, because that's just going to be outstanding. It's going to be an epic road trip, a lifetime road trip. I'm really looking forward to it. Really, really looking forward to it. But Cherokee's doing good. There, you know, not really any issues, just some maintenance. That's what I'm doing here today, just looking over everything. Everything's pretty good. I got to change the fan shroud too. My fan shroud's kind of half a fan shroud. You're definitely not going to be able to see it. But my fan shroud is like a half a fan shroud. It stops like at the halfway mark, because it was all broken on the bottom. But I got I'll take you for a little walk. I got a brand new fan shroud somewhere. Where's my fan shroud? I got a brand new fan shroud somewhere. No, right here. I got a brand new fan shroud, which is right here. So I got to change the fan shroud in the Cherokee too. And another thing I got to do to this, I have upgraded battery cables, but the cable going from the output of the alternator to the fuse box, the underhood fuse box right here, that cable's stock, and the cable that goes from here to the battery is also stock, and it's causing me some voltage issues because all the rest of the cables are are, I think they're 2 gauge. They're right here. I think they're 2 gauge. My grounds, you know, but they're kind of mixed match cables. Some are bigger than others. So I'm just gonna get, there's a guy that makes cables. A company's called Cable Guy. He does a lot of Jeep. I think he does all Jeep cables, all model Jeeps, CJs, XJs, TJs, JKs. He does all cables. So I'm gonna get his cable set up in a 1/0 gauge, which I think this one is. And then the K suspension has a upgraded alternator, a high output alternator that I'm gonna change, and I'm gonna get that too. So I'll have nice fresh cables, a high output alternator to feed this hungry beast. This thing just is such an electrical draw when you're running this winch. Is insane. It is absolutely insane how many amps this thing draws under full load. It's crazy. Probably arguably one of the greatest winches Warren ever made is the classic tried and true 8274 Warren winch. I swear by that winch. I will get buried with that winch. That winch will not go anywhere. I love that winch, man. I've always been an 8274 fan, and when I got this Hanson bumper for the Cherokee, and I found out they had an 8274 mount from Hanson. Hanson had an 8274 mount. I was like, that's the winch I'm getting. I said, I have to do an 8274 in front of the Cherokee. And you're probably asking me right now, looking at the front of the truck, I got my big 9-inch LEDs and I got the winch, and there's kind of like small openings over here and over here, and probably 80% of the grill is blocked. So you're probably asking me, like, you know, this thing probably runs so hot because half your grill is blocked from airflow. It doesn't run hot. I have little things done to the cooling system to. It's not a stock cooling system in a truck. Stock cooling systems in Cherokees are for stock Cherokees. This truck is not stock, obviously, and I added some things to the cooling system to help it maintain a lower temperature. So one is the hood vents. The other one is, I don't know if you can see that or not. It's an oil cooler. It's an engine oil cooler, which is right here. And see these vents right here? You can see the oil cooler poking in through there. And it kind of works out nice having the oil cooler in back of these vents right here. The vents are on the lower part of the bumper right here. And that kind of helps out a lot too. The oil cooler definitely helps out a lot. My vents that I have a Flow Cool water pump, and I have a Turbo City thermostat housing with a Flow Cool 180 thermostat. And I have you're definitely not going to be able to see this, and it really kind of sucks that you can't see this. I'm going to see if I can zoom in. You really ain't going to see it. But my fan clutch that I have, the stock one is probably, I'm probably exaggerating, but it's about that thin. This is a Hayden severe duty fan clutch, and the application is for a Grand Cherokee, and I think it's a ZJ. All ZJs, I think 95 to 98, the ZJ fan clutch, and it's literally about that thick. It's a monster tight clutch, a fan clutch, and it blows a massive amount of air on this motor. And it's very loud. Some people are not gonna like it because of the loudness and how noisy it is, but it blows a tremendous amount of air on that motor. And if it does, the temperature gauge does come up, it doesn't keep going up, it just goes right back down. So cooling system in this truck, I have no issues. I've ran this thing in 100-degree heat with no issues. The hottest this thing gets climbing a hill in 90-degree heat is 195 to 200, and it does not go over 200 at all. As soon as it hits that mark, the fan clutch locks up, and it'll just come right down. So cooling system wise, in the heat out in Moab and California and all that desert heat, I don't think this truck will have a single issue with running hot. This thing never runs hot, this truck, ever. And like I said, I've had it 100-degree heat and 100% humidity here in the Northeast. It can get pretty brutal with the humidity. So like I said, the hood vents, these hood vents just are worth their weight in gold. They really are. You can't even, in the summertime, after you get off the highway, have like a long little drive on the highway, you can't even put your hands on top of these vents. They're so hot. The hot air that escapes out of these vents is insane. It's so much, it releases so much hot air from under the hood than vents. It's insane. It's really crazy. But anyway, that's my plans, and I hope I didn't bore you too much. I hope you guys stuck around to the end of the video, because you know, I don't like really doing too long of videos, because they just kind of get boring. I know I get bored with watching videos too much, guys, just rambling on like I'm doing right now. But anyways, look forward some, you know, keep an eye out on the channel, and look forward. I'm looking really forward to putting some really good videos out with this truck. Maybe, you know, maybe this year, or maybe, you know, definitely next year. So watch out for that. Anyway, sorry to bore you so much with the long video, kind of blabbering on. You guys have a great day. Peace.